Welcome to AGFRR, Annual Ground, Floor and Roof Rent, funding towards a Wellbeing Society. Why land? It's constant, it can't be hidden. Policymakers divide it into 4 land types: rough grazing, forest and woodland, arable and urban. Because most properties are over 1 storey, we double the size of urban land types. So for AGFRR, Scotland's space, which includes land and all floor and roof areas, is 84,820,000,000 square metres. Here are the areas and shares which each land type contributes to the national total. Urban is defined as all non-agricultural buildings and all buildings and land serviced by a public sewerage system. According to GERS, the total spending in or allocated to Scotland by all forms of government in the UK is £81,015,000,000. But AGFRR allows us to substantially increase this by adding 10% to current Scottish Government spending plus £55 billion to provide an annual universal citizens' income of £10,000 for every Scottish resident. That gives a total spend of £138,440,700,000. The suggested rates per land type are for rough grazing, 0.0166 per square metres, for woodland and arable, £0.051 per square metre, and for urban, £10.01 per square metre. You will note that on the right-hand column, over 98% of the funding comes from the urban land types. Here's how the owners of a typical suburban house calculate the liability for AGFRR. Make their returns online and pay the AGFRR to Revenue Scotland. Here we show how AGFRR will be calculated for space which is not standalone. There are reliefs for agricultural buildings, how to calculate common property and tenements and common amenity areas. Owners of urban land type properties can recover the AGFRR from their tenants, and rural landowners can recover half the AGFRR from their tenants. To give you a flavour of the AGFRR charged on some typical spaces, we've highlighted a modern semi, a small flat, a single fronted shop, a large arable farm, a small tenanted upland farm, and what Scotland's largest landowner would pay. As AGFRR will replace all taxation, here is the estimated annual taxation a person on current average earnings currently pays and what he or she will save if they live in an average type of property under AGFRR. A staggering £6,896. And that's before each occupant receives a UCI of £10,000. You must be wondering where all this extra money is coming from when people will save so much from their current tax liability. It's quite simple, but also remarkable. There is just so much space throughout our country which is not contributing anything to public funds through dereliction and a failure to maintain vast areas of public and private space. Some are individually very small, but taken together they form a massive untapped public funding source. So here's how AGFRR can let Kate transform life in Scotland. Kate can end poverty with a universal citizen's income of £200 per week. Kate can end the concentration of land in the hands of very few, so everyone who wants to own a share can do so without subsidising the price from the public purse. With a UCI, Kate can ensure that those starting or developing a business have the comfort of knowing they have UCI to fall back on if their business takes time, or even if it doesn't take off at all. And AGFRR provides the flexibility to change and increase land types, cap, relieve, or exempt the owners of certain types of spaces due to restricted incomes or other reasons. Make Scotland the first truly property owning democracy, where 10% of everyone's UCI is invested in Scottish business. Deliver the land to solve the housing crisis, as the obligation to pay AGFRR will force space owners who don't pay it to release land to be developed by the social and private housing sector. It even encourage councils to raise most of their funds from their own AGFRR land types and rates, so that support from the Scottish Government and national land types charges could be reduced accordingly. This would enhance the status and independence of local government. And even if technology reduces traditional work opportunities, it can ensure people have fulfilling lives through the UCI and investment in Scottish innovation and development. As you can see here, we feature the principal benefits. They are not just for an independent Scotland, but as AGFRR can be introduced under devolution, puts money in the pockets of all of us now, including those still to be persuaded to vote yes. It provides the hard evidence that pensions and other public services will be even better under independence. To conclude this précis in AGFRR, from this table you will see that while AGFRR offers tremendous improvements in people's take-home income with devolution, they are substantially better with independence. It raises take-home pay income to levels enjoyed by our Norwegian and Swiss friends. In the forthcoming independence referendum, she who controls all Scotland's public funds will control the debate. AGFRR provides this control. If you would like a more detailed explanation of AGFRR, why not buy a copy of my book? It's £10 including post through PayPal, or email me on t1feu@hotmail.com.